Yo, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another Madden 16 online game. This is a game from last week, Cardinals versus 49ers, that definitely did not go well for Colin Kaepernick and the Niners. This is a random game I'm putting up here. What we are going to be doing today is going over week 4 in the NFL. By popular request, a lot of people requested this, that we go over, the games of the week in the NFL and dissect them. And I've been missing it the first couple of weeks. I've just been a little bit out of sorts. Last week was the release of 2K, so I was trying to do some 2K videos. As you guys see, just bombs to the John Brown and it's caught. Get used to that. But yeah, so we're gonna go over the week 4 games, and first time this season. It should be fun. And we're gonna start off with not the Thursday night game since it already happened, but the game that's going to be going on in London. That is Jets versus Dolphins, AFC East rivalry. And the Dolphins have not looked well so far this year. The only game they won was against the Redskins, where you can argue that the Redskins probably did outplay them with a Jarvis Landry punt return touchdown in the fourth quarter, and some bad play by Kirk Cousins helped propel the Dolphins to that victory. But they just got hammered by the Bills last week. You would think that they were going to try to come out against another rival this week and play better, and that's what they should be able to do. They won't have any home field because obviously it will be in a different country. As I meant to hit the running back there. I have the running back with the Y button. Sometimes running backs Y, sometimes running backs RB. That time it was the right bumper. That time it was a pick for me, so that kind of sucked. So like I said, I got the Jets winning this game, but it kind of depends on what's going on with the status of Eric Decker, because Eric Decker may or may not play with that knee injury. He missed last week. He might miss this week too. Not too sure about it. Haven't heard anything about it, especially since it's on my fantasy team. I'm kind of concerned about that, as we're going to get the user pick here with Bowman. But, I mean, especially if Eric Decker plays, I got the Jets winning. If he doesn't play, maybe, the Dolphins could come through the win. Next game is Giants versus Bills. I actually have my Giants winning that game. Call me a homer. I'm usually not a homer, though. Usually I'm picking against the Giants and anything. But I don't know. I just have a feeling this week against the Bills that we can just come through with a tough victory. We're on the road against a tough Buffalo crowd, but I don't know. Eli's not really the kind of guy that gets fazed by, well, anything. He never really seems like he knows what's going on, and that kind of works in that kind of favor. So, like I said, I do think the Giants win the game. I wouldn't be surprised if they lose the game. This might be the week that the Giants finally get exposed, because we've stayed in the first 2 games close, and then the third game we actually won against the Redskins pretty easily. But maybe this is the week Buffalo actually proves that the Giants are not a good team and dismantles us. We'll see what happens, because Buffalo has definitely looked tough this season. Even against New England, they kept the game close in that fourth quarter. They got that random burst in the fourth, propelled by Tyrod Taylor. Now, Panthers versus Bucks. I actually have the Panthers losing their first game of the season. You guys just see the random shit that's going on in this game. But I mean, obviously the Panthers would have bet. They haven't lost the game this season, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that the Bucks can get it. I mean, it's going to be tough for the Bucks to win, all right? It's kind of an upset pick of the week. The Bucks going to have a lot of things go right for them if they're going to want to win this game, because their kicking game is off. Their kicker missed like 3 field goals last week. Winston's still a rookie. Run game, Doug Martin's banged up. We'll see how that goes. Mike Evans is finally healthy, so we'll see if that could help the passing game even more, help out Jameis Winston. See Torrey Smith there breaking the tackle, and that's going to actually give us the lead in this game. So I actually say the Bucks at home upset the Panthers and win their first game of the season, and maybe keep the door open for some teams, like the Panthers trying to get for that wild card spot, or maybe even just win the NFC South. We'll see how that goes for them. Anyways, Raiders and Bears. I mean, Raiders don't look that bad this season, man. Derek Carr's got some weapons out there. Crabtree, who was the #1 receiver, or 1A in the Niners last year and years before, all of a sudden he's number 2 in the Raiders, and he's looking pretty good. And the #1 for the Raiders, when we mentioned Amari Cooper, their rookie, definitely looks like an absolute stud so far. I mean, his running after the catch is one of the best in the NFL already, it seems like. And the Bears, they had a fire sale this week. I don't know, I just can't really bet on the Bears right now. The Bears got to win a game. They got to prove that they can win a game before someone takes them, all right? That's the way it's going to go in my books. So we got the Raiders on the road at Soldier Field winning the game, and Derek Carr leading them to a 3-1 record. That pass defense is still boo-boo, but who's it, Jimmy Clausen playing quarterback? That's not someone that can dissect your defense and break it down too well, so I ain't really too scared about that. Chiefs and Bengals. The Chiefs get Sean Smith back. This is pretty big because as you guys may or may not know, guys like Jamal Fleming and stuff like that, Marcus Cooper, I believe it was, they were getting absolutely shredded week by week. But now, Marcus Peters, the rookie, can, get off the #1 receivers, go to the #2 receivers, and Sean Smith comes back, and that might be one of the best 1-2 cornerback duos in the NFL all of a sudden, rather than one of the worst. But, despite that, on the road, Cincinnati plays very good when they're at home. And I can't see the Bengals losing this game. It seems like, again, the Chiefs just find a way to lose, it feels like. And the Bengals are just kicking it in all gears right now. They somehow found a way to beat the Ravens. It seemed like they were collapsing in a Bengals-like fashion while the Ravens were winning in a Ravens-like fashion. But then the Bengals actually pulled that game out. Of course, A.J. Green was a huge factor in that. We'll see how A.J. gets through that Chiefs defense. And obviously, the Chiefs defense will have a part in it. But the Bengals offense is very talented. And I think they have enough to win that game. And the Bengals defense, they might be able to put some clampers on the passing game of the Chiefs. Now, the Texans and Falcons. Now, this game was played in the Texans Stadium. I would actually consider, hey, maybe the Texans are an upset pick this week. But it's in the Georgia Dome, and we're just going to have to go with the Falcons to stay undefeated. So I got the Panthers losing the first game of the season, but the Falcons stay undefeated, go 4-0. And of course, that's just the way I say it. It could be wrong. I could be wrong on a ton of these, all right? This is just my predictions. This is just what I'm seeing in the NFL season so far, all right? So I mean, I'm just not sure how Ryan Mallett's going to react. Obviously, Bevel, the dude from Dan Quinn, who's the new coach for the Falcons, he came over from Seattle. He might give Mallett some defensive looks that he might not be comfortable with. We'll see how that works. Kyle Shanahan's been doing a great job with the Falcons offense, moving Julio Jones around, really liking what they're doing with that offense, because Julio's a beast. And when you don't know where Julio's lining up, you can't plan for him, because obviously you're trying to plan for him as much as you can, but when you don't know where he's lining up, how much can you really plan for him? So I think that's going to be too much for the Texans. And the Texans D-line, it's still taking a little bit of time to come together as we throw a pick on 4th down and 4 here. I thought Patton would be able to get that. I mean, cover 2, usually that works out, but the safety somehow jumped the route. Usually they don't, but that's just the way it worked this game. I don't know, this game just I wasn't into this game after John Brown face called me like 3 times. Or at that point, I was just like, but you guys know me, I don't quit games, so we just stuck this one out and eventually, got pounded. But anyways, Jaguars and Colts. Speaking of poundings, this might be a pounding because the Colts might be able to get back on stride. Or it could be a pounding for the Colts. The Jaguars might turn it up, and the Jaguars might win the game. You never know, man. You never know what the way these Indianapolis Colts are playing this year. They do not look good, yet they are somehow still the favorites to win the AFC South because the rest of the teams in the division are not looking that good. This would be the time for the Texans to seize if they could, but they've been struggling so far this year. Mallett couldn't win that game in Carolina, and now all of a sudden here we are, Colts and Jaguars playing a big game. Jaguars 1-2, Colts are also 1-2, believe it or not. But I do have the Colts winning that game at home. We'll see how that goes, though. Obviously, Andrew Luck is banged up. That might change the way the game is going. Now, Redskins and Eagles, NFC East rivalry. A lot of rivalry games going on this week. This one, it's not really too much for the Redskins. The Redskins, this might be a game to save their season, even though it's this early. This might be a game that they need to win because they already lost a division game to the Giants. And, they can't have an 0-2 record already in the division while they already have lost, 3 games or 2 games, whatever the heck it is. It feels like they've lost 10. But I do have the Eagles winning the game. I think the Eagles, they're not as bad as people think they are. They played the Falcons one week. The Cowboys are a pretty good team with Romo. And then they won against the Jets, even though the Jets made it close. A team like the Redskins, I think the Eagles can take care of. Now, whether they're playing a better team, they'll take care of, and that's another story. But a team like the Redskins, I think, that offense can do enough. But the Redskins do play the Eagles tough. It usually seems like, both games last year were tough. And the Redskins actually won that second game around Christmas time. But, of course, I believe that was Mark Sanchez that, threw the interception in that game. We'll see how that goes. I do have the Eagles winning. But, of course, like I said, the Redskins do play pretty much all division rivals tough except for the Giants. I don't know why that is. Now, Browns and Chargers. The Chargers are really an ugly team this year. They really are an ugly team. They won their one game, But besides that, they blew that big lead to the Lions blew the big lead, I should say. But since that, they lost to the Vikings, they lost to the Bengals. Bengals obviously a tough team, but they just they have turnover problems, the injury problems, and the Chargers just don't seem to have it all together right now. Despite that, the Browns definitely don't have it all together, and I would have the Chargers winning that game at home in San Diego. Should be just enough for them to win the game, but you know, I'm expecting the Browns to give them a close game because the Browns are also a team that's not as bad as I think they might look. Even though they lost to the Raiders at home, you know, I think the Browns would be able to hang in the game and give themselves a chance. And we'll just see, you know, who makes the mistakes. Obviously, Philip Rivers is having a lot of fumble problems this year. That pass defense is a little bit iffy for the Chargers. Joe Hayden's a little bit off for the Browns. So we'll see how it all goes. Two teams with really good pass defenses are the Vikings and the Broncos. The Broncos, you might expect them more because they have the top cornerback duo in the league. I don't think there's much of an argument there when you're talking about Aqib Talib and Chris Harris Jr. All right, like people don't want to go to Chris Harris Jr. By the way, this game had a ton of lag, so you guys see me speeding up this part. I don't know why I was lagging this certain part, but it was. But yeah, people are like, I don't even want to go to Chris Harris Jr., so let me go to Aqib Talib. Kind of forgot Aqib Talib is a Pro Bowler, and you know he's picking people out the first 2 weeks, and all of a sudden it's like, all right, let's not throw it to him anymore. So, you know, the Broncos, they just have such a fierce defense. Like, it's one of the best in the NFL easily. You got DeMarcus Ware. Obviously, the big thing about DeMarcus Ware is whether he'll be able to play the entire season the way he's playing right now. Because obviously, I mean, not obviously, but he had a really good first half of last year. As you guys see the lag, it's just ridiculous. Eventually, it does go away. But, yeah, he had a really good first half last year, but then he kind of fell off in the second half of the year and was really ugly. So that kind of might drive how the Broncos defense is looking. But they have a lot of studs. They have Trevathan, they have Brandon Marshall, they have guys on the inside like Malik Jackson, obviously Von Miller, and then the Vikings, you know, Captain Munnerlyn, Xavier Rhodes, those kind of guys, they're all playing really good for the team. But, you know, Broncos at home can't really... I mean, the Broncos are a team that are asking to lose a game, it feels like. They've been asking to lose a game all season. Every game they played is pretty close. Even that game to the Lions. The Lions should have been able to seize that game last week, but, you know, the Lions play like the Lions and just made mistakes. But, yeah, I would have the Broncos winning that game. Packers and Niners, not going to waste too much time on that. Niners are home, but... Aaron Rodgers is playing way too good right now against a Niners defense that just got shredded by two really good quarterbacks in Carson Palmer and Ben Roethlisberger. Rodgers is another good quarterback. Rodgers will have a good game against those Niners. And, of course, you know, he's against the Niners since they didn't draft him. And that first overall pick, they drafted Alex Smith instead. So he's going to have a little bit of a, you know, chip on his shoulder. Rams and Cardinals. Speaking of the Cardinals, you know, I like the Rams to play them tough, but Cardinals are just clicking on all cylinders right now, and until they lose, that's a team, like, unlike the Bears, it's the Cardinals. Until they lose, you can't bet against them. I didn't have a good feeling about the Cardinals this year. I thought they wouldn't make the playoffs, to be honest, but, you know, that offense is just looking, I mean, the defense was already pretty good, and they lost a few people, but the offense is looking great this year with Carson Palmer. And, Lions and Seahawks, I got the Seahawks winning that game. I think the Lions will keep it close. Usually the Seahawks, they'll keep a team like that, especially when it seems like the Seahawks are on primetime TV playing like the Redskins game last year. They'll keep a team close into it, but, you know, I would have the Seahawks winning that game. Like Stafford, once again, like the Lions will do Lions things and lose that game. All right, let's just keep it real. And then the Cowboys and Saints, Sunday Night Football. Actually got the Cowboys winning that game. I'm not really too big of, I mean, the Saints are okay, but I don't know, man. The Saints just find ways to lose games. They're better on paper than their record shows, same way it was last year. But they just find ways to lose games. I don't know why. And I feel like they will just randomly find a way to lose. I feel like the Cowboys might be able to rush on that Saints defense a little bit. Whedon will be able to do just enough to win. We'll see what happens, though. Obviously, it wouldn't be a surprise, especially if Drew Brees is playing if the Saints win. But that'll do it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more Madden 16 games. Unfortunately, we got our ass kicked in this game. Some people have been asking for me to post like a blowout or something like that if I lose. So, this shout out for you guys. And I'll catch you guys next time.